Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Natasha Kirchek, and coming up in today's newscast, the coronavirus infection rate continues its downwards trend. Israelis celebrate the nation's 72nd birthday from isolation, and we'll reveal who's just been crowned the new International Bible Champion in Jerusalem. Well, some very exciting news. For the first time since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in Israel, the total number of people who have recovered from the virus have exceeded the number of active patients. 15,870 people and counting have now been diagnosed with COVID-19 in the state of Israel. That's 88 more cases within the last 24 hours, which means a downward trend in new infections is continuing. The death toll has now risen to 219, with 4 more passing away since last night. The Israeli Health Ministry says that 117 Israelis are currently in serious condition, 85 of which are on ventilators, and 79 are in moderate condition. But the good news is that over 8,400 people have recovered. Even better, the 11-year-old Israeli girl from Tiberias that's been in serious condition with complications from COVID-19 has now seen some improvement. Tests have shown that she no longer has the virus and her overall condition has gotten better. Well, as the infection rate goes down across the country, more restrictions are being rolled back. As of 8 a.m. today, Israelis exercising outdoors are no longer barred from going more than 500 meters from their homes, and sports can be done freely. Citizens still aren't allowed to go more than 100 meters away from their homes, except for essential activities, but that rule will likely be removed next week, according to police. Swimming in the sea and going to the beach is still prohibited, although it will be re-examined today, and the reopening of movie theaters is in discussion. Now, Israeli medical professionals have been working nonstop amidst the ongoing pandemic, and to honor them, the Israeli Air Force has even conducted congratulatory flyovers for Independence Day. But what is it actually like to be a nurse on the ground of this crisis? Well, joining us now to find out is head nurse of the ER at the Sheba Medical Center, Engler. So, how has your job changed in the last few months? I can't even imagine.
Well, of course, it changed dramatically. The Sheba Medical Center was the first to face COVID-19 suspected individuals in Israel. We spent a while preparing for the big surge of patients who are now eventually arriving in large numbers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can imagine that there's been, just kind of a massive panic, especially in the beginning of dealing with these COVID patients. But how have you been able to separate actual COVID patients from those with corona-like symptoms, people who think that they might be sick but aren't necessarily?
Well, the ER, where we work, is the main port of entry to the hospital. And we played an important role as the main gatekeepers. We divided our ER into 2 main sections, our regular everyday ER with non-corona patients, mm-hmm. and an advanced biological ER, which is also separated to 3 different sections for the different patients with different symptoms.
How is working in this environment, in the the Israeli health system, dealing with a crisis like this, made you feel about the health situation as a whole in the state of Israel? Do you feel that Israel has dealt with this properly, especially in your experience dealing with patients?
Yes, I do. We had very complicated challenges, called for a new innovative thinking, and they did very well. We are managing to protect our patients, and not less important, to protect our staff.
Right. I mean, have you been scared? I can only imagine what it's like to go in every day knowing that you're exposing yourself.
We're scared. We worked very hard on our ability to suppress our those kind of feelings. Mm-hmm. We have very dedicated teams, and also on our everyday job, when you see a patient who needs your help, you just go in and you do it.
You got to do what you got to do. Well, kol hakavod, all of the respect to you and the team that you're working with. You guys have been doing an unbelievable job. And again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a sense of what it's like for you on the ground.
Thank you. Let's hope for better days.
All right, now the coronavirus pandemic will eventually end, but the world as we know it has already changed enormously. Well, one Israeli startup called Sonorax is getting ready for our new future with TouchFree Tech. ILTV's Nittany Manson has the details.
Slowly but surely, the coronavirus crisis is winding down, but newly developed concerns and changes in our routine will remain. With the risks of spreading disease still fresh in our memories, millions of people will likely continue avoiding commonly touched surfaces, like elevator buttons, doorknobs, and faucet handles. So the demand for touch-free technology has never been higher. And Israeli startup Sonorax is prepared. The company develops ready-to-install ultrasonic data transmission technology. And for those of us who don't speak fluent engineer, that means machine-to-machine communications between any device that has a speaker and a microphone, because the tech uses sound waves to transfer data. So with Sonorax's technology installed on both devices, all you'll need is your smartphone. And then you just hold the phone near a controlled device and the audio signals complete the transaction, whether it's punching into a time clock at work, summoning an elevator, or even speaking through an intercom. And best of all, the sound wave is far above that which humans and even dogs can hear.
I cannot wait to see that tech in action. All right, now in spite of nationwide lockdowns, a small barbecue and charcoal is still filling the air here in Israel as the 72nd Independence Day has just come to an end. And all over the country, citizens have been celebrating from home. But while most Yom Ha'atzmaut holiday traditions have been canceled amidst the coronavirus pandemic, many others have simply been modified. ILTV's Aaron Porras has the story.
A mobile DJ float could be heard driving through the city of Haifa, allowing people to party together but separately from their balconies. And the annual official torch lighting ceremony had been pre-recorded and held without an audience, and the military flyovers across the country had been limited to just 4 stunt planes, which flew over hospitals in a salute to Israel's medical professionals.
אנו מאחלים לכם ולכל אזרחי מדינת ישראל בריאות איתנה וחג עצמאות שמח.
Still, not everyone was respecting the rules for social distancing. Police have handed out nearly 1,400 fines for violations of the curfew or anti-gathering directives. But meanwhile, the general lockdown for the holiday had been lifted by 8 p.m. Wednesday, allowing grocery stores and select other businesses to open. And now more directives are being lifted. Starting today, most stores will be allowed to reopen, with the exception of closed malls, restaurants, and entertainment or leisure venues. Also, schools, open-air markets, guest houses, and select hotels have been given tentative approval to reopen as soon as next week. In spite of the eased restrictions following the holiday, however, Israelis are still urged to follow social distancing and mask-wearing rules.
עכשיו יום יבוא והחיבוק יחזור לחיים. גם הצ'פחה. אבל אנחנו עדיין לא שם, כי המגפה עדיין כאן. ולכן צריך להמשיך להישמע להנחיות כדי לשמור אחד על השני.
Meanwhile, other directives still in place also include the 100-meter limit on leaving home, and group exercise is still banned. The 500-meter limit on leaving home to exercise has been lifted completely, though, and then playgrounds and public parks or beaches are still closed to anyone who doesn't live within 100 meters of these locations. And religious events must also continue to be held outside and in small numbers.
שבשנה הבאה, בעזרת השם, נשים את הזום בצד, ניפגש כולנו יחד ונחבק איש את רעהו. ועד אז, אזרחי ישראל, שמרו על עצמכם, הניפו דגל ביום העצמאות, שמחו במדינה שלנו.
Well, now the Likud and the blue and white parties are inching closer and closer to a coalition agreement, but several people close to Likud leader and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are now hinting that we're still heading for a 4th election cycle. So, are we starting over once again? Well, joining us to discuss is Mark Schulman, columnist for Newsweek and of course, editor of HistoryCentral.com. So negotiations for establishing a unity government have stalled. No party wants to accept the Ministry of Health, and Naftali Bennett's Yamina party is in no hurry to enter the coalition. So do you think that we're actually going to be facing 4th elections?
It's a 50-50. First of all, the big question, of course, will be in the courts, and we'll get to that in a moment. I think between Kachol Lavan and Likud, there is an agreement. The issue of the final issue of who's going to take the Ministry of Health, it's really going to be up to blue and white if they want to take it or not. If they want to make a fool of their voters and say it's an emergency government because of Corona, and not take the Corona teak, which is the health ministry, that's possible because Gabi Ashkenazi would rather fly around the world. Well, he can't fly at the moment, but anyway, make believe he's flying around the world as foreign minister. So we don't really know. I think there are people in the Likud who don't want the agreement, obviously. because for most of the people in Likud, secondary people who are now ministers are all going to lose their jobs. And so you have very few Likud ministers left. And so a lot of them would be just as happy, A, to keep an interim government going for another 6 months so they can keep the jobs, and then hope the next time Likud will actually win the election and won't need a coalition government. So I'm sure that people in Likud want to push back at it. I'm
well,
not
what
sure
still
Netanyahu
needs to
does
happen for the unity to be approved right now?
Well, right now it's a signed agreement. Right now, all that's really necessary, theoretically, is for the courts to say that it's okay to go ahead. Now, a major hurdle was overcome a few hours ago when the Attorney General stated that he could see no reason, well, he doesn't like a lot of the agreement. He sees no legal reason to stop it from going forth. He also stated that he saw no legal reason why Netanyahu, even under these circumstances, can't become prime minister again. So those were major hurdles. The Supreme Court could have decided, well, can still decide. They're not bound by the decisions of the Attorney General. They were just waiting to hear what he had to say. President Rivlin also basically said, his office, that the court should not get involved in what his rights and not rights to give anyone to become prime minister. So if the courts do not intervene at all, then I see no reason why the agreement won't go forward. What could happen is they could say one aspect of the agreement is problematic legally, and that could throw a wrench into the whole works.
Now,
That's
the Yesh
possible.
Atid Telem party head Yair Lapid, he says that he'd work with Netanyahu to subvert the rotation with Gantz. So he's basically going up completely against Gantz. Does he want fourth elections? Why would he do this?
I think he's just venting, quite honestly. I mean, he's very, very angry, and from his perspective, rightly so, because Gantz stabbed him in the back in terms of going and making an agreement with Netanyahu. So there's no question in my mind that he's very angry. He also needs to be the opposition. He has to develop a real identity now as the fighting opposition. And so he has to fight, not only does he have to fight Netanyahu, he has to fight Gantz, so he needs to create as much space between them. So I think it was more play acting than anything else. Look, no one wants a fourth election right now, only because A, Israeli public is really, really tired of elections, and B, no one has any idea how it would go. If elections were held today, Netanyahu would probably win 70 seats on his side. But what's going to be in 5 months or 6 months, even Netanyahu is afraid of that, because the economy is not going to recover very quickly.
Right.
And so he's afraid of what's going to happen in 6 months. So I think he wants to risk it either. So I think we have a lot of risk-averse politicians right now that would rather settle for what they got than try to spin the dice a fourth time. But I could be wrong.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. As per usual, it's always a waiting game, right? Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right. Now, the German government has just outlawed all activities by the Iranian-backed Lebanese terror group Hezbollah. This is a dramatic departure from Berlin's previous policy, which was based on the European Union's stance. The EU has only deemed Hezbollah's military wing as a terrorist entity and views its political branch as legitimate. But Germany's new ban does not differentiate between the group's military and political wings whatsoever.
Im Zusammenhang mit dem Betätigungsverbot der Hezbollah durchsuchen wir aktuell hier in Berlin-Neukölln 4 Objekte. Es geht darum, festzustellen, ob es einen Zusammenhang zwischen diesen Objekten und der Hezbollah gibt, also der verbotenen Vereinigung.
German police have raided 4 groups associated with Hezbollah in various locations across the country this morning. There's no formal German branch of Hezbollah, which is why Berlin can't outlaw the organization as such. Instead, the government is now prohibiting the group from displaying symbols, organizing and participating in assemblies, and is also confiscating Hezbollah's assets. Israel is, of course, welcoming Berlin's new policy. Hezbollah denies Israel's right to exist and threatens the country with violence and terror. And Germany estimates that around 1,050 people living in its nation are affiliated with the organization. Well, the German government claims Hezbollah uses Germany as a safe haven and a base for recruiting new supporters for attack and fundraising activities. And lawmakers have been long working on a ban of the group. Germany now joins the ranks of the US, the UK, the Netherlands, and several Arab states which already recognize Hezbollah as a terrorist entity. So, how well do you know your Bible? Well, every year Israel hosts an international Bible quiz on Independence Day, and this year is no different. But for the first time in a decade, a female student has been crowned Bible champion. And ILTV's Nittany Manson has the story.
In a trivia-style contest, teenage participants from all over the world come to Jerusalem every year to compete in the annual International Bible Quiz. And contestants are tasked with everything from completing obscure Bible verses to naming geographical details about ancient Israel. But for the first time in 10 years, a female student has taken the gold. 16-year-old Ruth Cohen from southern Israel. Then following her in second, third, and fourth places respectively are Moshe Giladi, also from Israel, Chaim Nosson Shields from the US, and Miriam Sharam from Mexico. But over 70 teenagers from nearly 40 countries participated in this year's event, organized by the Education Ministry, the IDF, the Jewish Agency, and the Jewish National Fund. And due to the coronavirus, they competed with no audience and with foreign participants taking part through a video link. Then finally, the final question was posed by none other than Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who later went on to congratulate all the competitors.
אני רוצה לברך את כולכם, כל המשתתפים. אני רוצה לברך בברכות חמות את הזוכים, ואני רוצה לאחל לכולנו חג עצמאות שמח בשנה הבאה בלי הקורונה.
Very exciting. All right, now if you're looking to get your hands on even more unique content about the state of Israel, maybe time to check out Izzy. Izzy is a totally new streaming platform that plans on launching in the fall. And joining us now with the details is co-founder of Izzy, Josh Hoffman. So Josh, first of all, tell us about Izzy. What will this platform offer?
Definitely. So we like to say that Izzy is the Netflix for Israel, new movies, documentaries, TV shows, straight from Israel, made locally by the greatest creators and production companies in Israel for audiences around the world.
Interesting. Now, how did you guys come up with this idea?
Well, you know, there's so much great content out there about Israel. You have stuff on Netflix, Amazon. But what we understood is that the demand for premium Israeli content is not meeting the supply of what's out there. So we really want to match the demand and supply. And there you have it. There's Izzy.
Interesting. Now, I understand you're launching Izzy's first documentary film. What is it about and where can we see it?
Yeah, it's called Sustainable Nation. You can watch it right now for free until Saturday, helloisrael.tv/sustainable. And it's really about the great Israeli technology that's being transported abroad and helping various places in the world that need clean water at scale through Israeli technology.
Interesting. So can you give us an idea of kind of the other type of content that you're going to be offering on this platform beyond obviously just social good that Israel is doing?
Of course. So, you know, there's so many great stories and characters in Israel. And so we really want to entertain and inspire people through these great stories and character. So Israel really will take a back seat in our content. And what you'll see in the foreground is characters, stories, organizations, people, businesses, and all types of different culture and lifestyle topics tackled in a long form context.
Interesting. All right. So for those of our viewers who want to sign up for Izzy or they just want to learn more about what you guys are doing, where should they go?
helloisrael.tv.
helloisrael.tv. Very simple. And the documentary that you guys have out right now, Sustainable Nation, there we go. It is going to be available until Saturday?
That's right.
Okay, there you go, guys. All right, so check out Izzy online. And Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really amazing what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
All right, now imagine being able to walk and work in the same place that your ancestors once thrived thousands of years ago. Well, that's exactly what one winemaker in the Sumerian Hills is doing. Check this out. This is one of the most ancient wine territories on the planet. No, I'm not in France, I'm not in Spain, and I'm not even in Italy. I'm in the Sumerian Hills of Judea and Samaria. Welcome to Shiloh, the biblical city that preceded Jerusalem as a central worship site of the early Israelites. Over 3,000 years ago, Shiloh was the first capital of the Israelite kingdom. And today it's home to the Shiloh Winery, a boutique winery that produces some of Israel's most internationally recognized kosher wines. This is Amichai Luria, and he's the chief winemaker at Shiloh.
This is a Merlot, Petit Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc. The whole area, all these vineyards around us, we have lots and lots of ancient wine presses that date back thousands of years. King David, Yoshua bin Nun, this is where they walked, this is where they lived, this is where they made wine. They'd bring the grapes here, step on it, put it into the hole over there, it would ferment, and you'd have wine. When King David said, wine gladdens the heart, he was talking about wine that was made here in this area. After 2,000 years in exile, finally we're back to where everything started.
And then there is light. Wow. You can see how deep we are underground if you just look up at the ceiling here. It's amazing. So we're drinking a Shiloh 2019 rosé in a cave where they used to age wine 3,000 years ago. L'chaim. In the Sumerian hills, you have cold nights, you have warm days, and what does that do for the grapes?
The grapes mature slowly, and the slower they mature, the better they get. We actually collect all the waste from the chickens, from the goats, from the sheep, and we use everything to make our own organic compost. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon that I separated the men from the boys, so to speak, different barrels, and picked the best ones to make this specific wine. Okay. And this is the base of the Cabernet Secret Reserve, which is our best seller.
But you wouldn't serve this to the public yet. It's not ready.
No. It needs at least another year in barrels. And also during the year, I'm going to be deciding which barrels will continue.
I love this. I feel like I'm ready to take this home.
Amichai has taken me to his house to feast on a local lamb.
So the one thing that you have to be careful about if you come to the Shiloh winery is how much you drink, right?
How much you drink and how much you eat.
And how much you eat.
We try to do a different kind of tour to be unique, to give a different kind of experience.
How long has this been cooking for?
I don't know. I think I left to the vineyards at around 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's since 5 already in the grill.
No big deal. Yeah. No big deal.
Sometimes it'll be longer. We'll see how that falls off the bone.
Oh my God.
It's an amazing privilege to work the land of Israel. It's an amazing privilege to plant the vine and knowing that prophecies are coming true. And when you respect the vines themselves, then you get back. It's a spiritual connection of a person that makes wine to the land itself, to the vines.
I can't tell you what an incredible experience it was to visit Shiloh Winery. Amichai is such a special person, and his wine is just absolutely incredible. He actually offers personalized tours where you can even get treated to one of his superb meals if you're lucky. But until flights are open back to Israel, if you'd like the chance to get your very own taste of Shiloh's magic, go to www.shilohwinery.com and order straight to your doorstep. Now, speaking of wine, we're headed into the weekend, so let's take a look at the weather forecast. Friday should be partly cloudy with a high of 72 degrees Fahrenheit or 22 Celsius. The weather should get even warmer by Saturday with temperatures rising to high of 77 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 Celsius and fully sunny skies. So remember to wear some sunscreen. And now before we go, let's take a look at what's going viral in Israel.
היי, שלום חברים וחברות שלי, אנחנו עכשיו במטבחון קטן. אנחנו הולכים לעשות את העוגה המסורתית שלנו, של משפחת נתניהו, לחג העצמאות. ככה אני לוקחת אותה, ככה למקרר, נכנסים אותה בניילון. ביי, חג שמח, אוהבת אתכם.
All right, so that video has been going viral in Israel. Basically, the Netanyahu family, the prime minister's family, showing us what they do on Yom HaAtzmaut with their own personal family recipes. So you can check that out online as well. All right, that is it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.5 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube and Roku TV pages. I'm Natasha Kirchak, and thanks so much for watching.